Hey traders, how's it going? Sorry for the technical difficulties getting logged on. Can you guys hear me? What's going on? Good evening, Marcus. How did your trading go today? All green, but gonna stop soon. Yep. Not sure what we're gonna get out of this afternoon. Had a little bit of a crazy morning with the kiddos, so wasn't able to hop on the stream. I did catch a couple of trades just kind of on the go, just small scalps, because I wasn't able to super focus and sit at the desk. So, see if we get anything now. What's up, Luna? I'm hoping that we get a little bit of a power hour pickup in volume, but we'll see. Volume has definitely died down. I'm copying your trade. I don't know. Not feeling too confident about it. Maybe just because of the low volume. And I don't know. I feel like it might come up and like get a little failed auction. Like come up and really grab that liquidity up at like 427 or something and then come back down. So I'm wondering if I got in a little bit too early, but we'll see. Goal is just to come down here to value area low. You're not in yet. Yeah, Marcus, I'm wondering if it's going to stay this way too. Really, the last week or so, there hasn't been much of a quote unquote power hour. It's just been slow after like the first 90 minutes of the open. After that, it's just slow. I like to look at the ATR and the 5-minute chart. Usually try to be around like 15 or 20. What is that at? 9, 10? That's not very pretty. Yep, for sure, Jamal. Not the optimal position, or not the optimal trading conditions right now. I agree. That's all right though. Gonna see what I can get. Part of me feels like there's so much room for this to go down. Like it could come all the way down to 23,300 ish, because that entire pump from this morning, it never retraced that. So at some point, if not today, over the next couple days, it could do that. But I don't want to be greedy. And with it being so slow, I don't think that would happen unless there was a news driven event. So just aiming for this current session's value area low at this point. Luna, what made you not get in the trade if you drew it up? I know you've been trying to just take one trade per session, like New York, Power Hour, Asia. Did you already take your trade? Is that why? If you guys are just hopping in the chat, let me know how your day went. All-time high days are always a little bit tough. I guess you could have just hopped on the momentum this morning right at market open, but that was a little scary too. Because you never know. Is it just going to keep going up? Is there going to be a pullback? It was a pretty crazy open today. I was driving my kids to a day camp that I was dropping them off at while the market was opening, so I didn't get in on any of it. It was a good FOMO exercise, just watching the market go without me and not being able to do anything about it. Well, just gonna sit here and see if we get any sort of volume added to the market. Not sure what we'll get. I am in one small position. This is in my account. I do have a win. I'm up a little bit. So I don't want to give any money back to the markets, but even if I do take a loss, I'll still be green on the day. So I feel okay about this position. Yeah, Jamal, I agree. There's room for down, but who knows? I doubt it'll happen today. I feel like we would need to have some tweet from Trump or some like announcement that we're going to war, or someone says the word tariff. If something like that happens, it might go down. But if it stays like this, it's not going to go very far. Jamal, you said you took one winning trade before market open. You've just been watching price action since then. That's good discipline. Pre-New York today actually moved really well. There was some clean price action bouncing off of levels. If you follow like point of control and all of that, it was clean price action. Again, like I said, it was a little crazy with getting the kids out the door and stuff. So wasn't focused enough to take any trades, but went back and looked at it. Could have taken some good trades. That's one thing I've had to learn, I think, through experience, is not taking trades when I'm trying to multitask. I used to like try to do it from my phone when I was cooking the kids breakfast and getting them out the door, and my win rate goes down big time just because I'm not super focused. So I try to wait until I'm like actually sitting focused at the computer and I can really draw everything up. That's helped a lot. And like today is a good example. I wasn't even able to be at the computer watching the market open, so I missed the full first hour of trading. But I was still able to find a trade. Still able to get up about $600. So, good reminder that there's always another opportunity. Mad Moxie, you've been in a short from 4:15 for an hour. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no kidding. You could have shorted like that high right there for literally the last hour. An hour and 30 minutes ago was when it hit that high. That's wild. You passed your 150K account. There you go. Nice job. I like my funded futures. I've taken a couple payouts from them. They have some good rules. Ah, my audio is weird. Can you guys hear me better now? Does that sound better at all? Okay, cool. I was actually talking to Luna about this a couple days ago, if he's still in the chat. I'm not the most tech savvy person in terms of like audio, sound, visual, that kind of stuff. So streaming has definitely been a learning curve for me. ChatGTP has been my friend. I'm asking all kinds of questions for like how to do this, how to do that. What kind of microphone do I need? How do I hook this up? I was a gym owner, you guys. I know how to run a business and like coach you on macros and fitness and like talk to you about performance nutrition and lifting cycles. But when it comes to like stream decks and microphones and all that stuff, still learning. Still learning. What software do I use? I use Streamlabs. I know there's a lot of options out there that are much better and have more capabilities. But I chose this one for now just because it's simple. It's very user friendly. I just kind of follow a template and it makes it easier. I think I would get a little panicked if I had all kinds of different screens I had to switch and stuff. All right, starting to come down a little bit. So this late in the session, I do like to keep the current session volume profile on. I don't normally at the market open just because there's not enough data to really like have it matter in my opinion. So now that we're coming towards the end of the day, I do think it's valuable. So this is the value area high. That's kind of where we were rejecting. We're sitting at point of control right now. We haven't really closed below. I'm on the 15-minute chart just because we're moving so slow. I felt like the 5-minute was just kind of choppy. So sitting at point of control right now. We do have quite a few areas of support below. We have the New York anchored VWAP, so we got to get below that. And then we have value area low. So we'll see how low we get. There you go, Luna, you're in. Check ES. What's going on with ES? Oh, dang. ES is going down, but it's right at VWAP. So is it going to hold there and bounce? Or is it going to continue down? Like I was saying before, there's a lot of room to go down. that whole move from the open could potentially retrace, or at least to this first level. If you're trading 63.53, I could see it coming down to that easily, just because that closes that fair value gap, and there's quite a bit of support right here. Be careful with those statements, Jamal. NQ will follow. We don't know what NQ is going to do. It does whatever it wants to do. But at least you followed with, hopefully, fingers crossed. We can only hope. Well, it's getting a little bit of a bounce at that point of control. And that volume profile from the day, I know both of these kind of show the same story. But there's a high volume node right here, which is right at point of control. So it's going to need to do some work to get below that. Awesome. Marcus is done for the day. You'll skip tomorrow's trading session. You have something going on? All right, chat. Tell me, who here trades with Tradeify? Statistically, Tuesdays don't work for me. Interesting. I wonder if that's turned into almost like a mental block. Like if you've just seen your calendar and you see that like Tuesdays over the last couple months are red, I wonder if you almost like turn that into a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know? All right, Marcus, have a good one. Anyone in the chat trade with Tradeify? So they had that whole reset thing over the weekend. And this morning there was a little bit of craziness with like password resets and people not being able to log into their dashboard, and it was a little bit of a mess, which you can expect with a whole tech reboot. But one thing that I'm excited about is I saw on their checkout page, like if you're going to buy a new account, they have the option for Trade-of-8 NinjaTrader, and then it says below, coming soon, Project X. Yes, I'm so excited. I don't know when soon is, but I'm excited. I love Project X so much more than NinjaTrader or Trade-of-8. And Tradeify is one of my favorite prop firms anyway, so, and I just suffer through the Trade-of-8 to trade with them. So if they get Project X, that'll be awesome. It looks like it wants to go down. It's definitely a slow grind. So my thought process was, well, it's not really bouncing at point of control, but honestly, it's not doing anything. It's not going down either, so can't really judge based on momentum right now. So those of you guys who aren't super familiar with me, you might not know, but I'm a pretty newbie trader. And I share that on all my videos, that I'm not claiming to be an expert, just kind of sharing my journey, the ups and downs, sharing my good trades, sharing the strategies that work, but also sharing the full tilt moments when I blow my account. But my reason for saying that is I started in September of 2024. So this is the first time that I've like traded through a summer. I've always heard that it's slow. So I guess that's what we're starting to experience. No more power hour. If you don't get your trades in the first 90 minutes or so, you might not get anything. I just put my Discord link in the chat, you guys. I just started this over the weekend, so there's only about 10 people in it so far. But the reason I'm doing this, not trying to sell you guys a course or anything, really just want to add to the community. We have a good, solid group of people that show up to the live streams on a daily basis. And it's really cool to see people start to like get to know each other's strategies and share their wins, share their losses, ask questions. But I'm not going to be sitting at my computer live streaming the entire session. So this is just my way of wanting to connect with you guys. Because there's times that I trade outside of the live streams. And if I could kind of share my thoughts, my setups, you guys can share yours. We can share the days that we blow an account. We can share our wins, payout screenshots so we can cheer for each other. I think having a good trading community in trading is really important because it's a lonely business. And it's hard, right? I can't be the only one that feels that way. It's hard going through the mental grind of like maybe having a couple red days in a row and you're trying to like get your mind out of the dump and just all that stuff. If you're navigating that alone, it sucks. So just want to be able to share my journey with you guys. Not claiming to be an expert or a guru or anything. Just wanting to support each other. And building community is one thing that I'm good at. Like I said, I'm a former gym owner. I worked in a boutique fitness studio where, you have 300 or 400 members. It was a small group. And that was what we were known for, is community. So that's one thing I'm good at. And I'm looking forward to growing in the trading space. Man, if you guys need to practice patience with trading, trade right now. This is like trading during the Asia session. I think Asia last night moved more than this. What is ATR at right now? I gotta see this. 10. I guess that's a little bit more than it was pre-market with London. London session this morning, a couple hours before the New York Open, was like 6 or 7. It was pretty wild. All right, so that high volume node that I kind of marked off, we broke below that. We're below point of control. We're breaking down. Sitting at New York anchored VWAP right now, getting a little bit of a bounce. Value area low for the session currently is at about 378. Still holding above that New York anchor VWAP, but not getting a great bounce. And the fact that we just broke through point of control, it just feels like it wants to get lower, go lower. Looking at Bookmap, there's lots of liquidity stacking up lower. 360, 357, down in that area. So that's kind of the top of where the fair value gap starts. If you zoom out to like the higher time frame. 375-ish, 358, like I could see it coming down there. And then the session VWAP is at 353. I do like how it broke below point of control and that high volume node. All right, 377 is that value area low. So I'm going to take off a couple there. Luna's scaling out. I like scaling out of positions. I think it helps me with my FOMO a lot more. Like it makes me take profit at certain levels so that at least I'm locking in some profits. But then having the ability to leave a runner makes me feel better about not missing out on a bigger move. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I'm sure a lot of people can like complain about that one or say that I'm wrong. But it helps me so that I don't feel like I have FOMO and like re-enter the trade for no reason. The slow grind continues. All right, so we're sitting right at value area low for the session and New York anchored VWAP. So if we're gonna bounce, I feel like this is where it's gonna happen. If it breaks below value area low, then there's lots of downside potential. But we're also moving really slow, so it might just not go anywhere. That's another possibility for sure. I'm gonna trail my stop a little bit to that like 398, because really if it breaks back above this high volume node and point of control, then we're going higher, because that's a pretty good spot for resistance. So 398, trailing my stop. Luna, are you streaming right now? Or did you just do early this morning and then you were gonna do an Asia session? You're like the master at multitasking. You're streaming, you're in my chat, you're trading, you're flipping between all your screens. I don't know how you do that. I see a couple new names in the chat since I'm streaming at a different time. I normally stream New York Open at 9:15 Eastern for the first, usually 2.5 hours. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Come join me. I'd love to have you guys. All right, Jamal, have a good one. So I typically, today is a little bit different since I'm trading in the afternoon, but typically my strategy is 15-minute opening range. I trade either the breakout or failed breakout, a fake out. I like watching for those. And then the 60-minute initial balance, very similar to the 15-minute. You can trade either a breakout or a failed auction on those. And then I love using volume profile. So visible range volume profile for the higher time frames to find support and resistance levels. And then session volume profile. So I pay attention to point of control, value area high, value area low, because those are usually really good levels for either a target for like a trade that you're already in, or a spot for a bounce and reversion. How much in profits do I make per month with my strategy? So to be totally transparent, like I said, I'm somewhat new to trading. I've had months where I've taken, I think my best month is 8,000 in payouts from prop firms. But I've also had months where I've taken $0. And that was not because of my strategy. That was because of me and my emotions with trading and doing stupid stuff and oversizing and blowing accounts. So the strategy works. And honestly, it's not just my strategy. Like, you can trade RSI, MACD, trend lines, EMAs, whatever. Lots of strategies can make money. It's the trader that's usually the problem. All right, I'm gonna take off. This is starting to look like it wants to get heavy. So I'm gonna set another limit order at 359. And then I'm gonna take the rest at 353-ish, which is right at the overnight VWAP. Getting a little bounce there. That's where that recent low was. So hopefully we get some continuation. Am I planning to continue trading in the long term? Heck yeah. I sure am. I love trading. Like honestly, I love the challenge of it. I love when there's something that I'm not good at and it's challenging, and I always feel like I have to research and get better and learn, and like it keeps me on my toes, I guess. So I like that. But more importantly, I believe that it can help me accomplish my dreams. Like I want to be able to make CEO money. Like I want to make multiple 5 figures a month, but also be able to act like a stay-at-home mom. Like I want to be the mom that's able to coach my kids' soccer teams, and like be the one that picks them up from school every day and volunteer on field trips and things like that. And I really believe that trading can allow me to have that lifestyle that I want. What did I enter? Like what am I trading? And MNQ? Or do you mean like what was the strategy? I'm not sure of your question, Elias. What confluences? Good question. So opening up my trading view chart, the initial balance high was set over here, and it just came up to initial balance high and started to reject. So the initial entry was really just because it was good risk to reward. And then it started to break below this value area high, and it couldn't hold above. So once it started to get heavy, I added to my position because that was confirmation. So that was my reasonings for entering. I'm a big fan of session volume profile if you're trading in the afternoon. It really starts to respect these levels and stay within the value area and point of control. Like if it's above point of control, you can possibly take a long. If it's below point of control, you can take a short. So obviously I took a short because of initial balance, but once it broke below that point of control, it made me feel really good that it was going lower. Yeah, I have taken payouts. Total I've taken is 30,000 in payouts. I started in September of 2024, so I haven't been doing this super long. So I know that's not $1 million. It's not a huge amount, but it's pretty cool that it's real money that I've figured out how to pull out of the market. And I feel like I'm getting more consistent for sure. Feel like I'm finding my groove. Yeah, I feel like it's a decent amount as a newbie trader, and it's not even my first year yet. I have, 3 more months until it's been a year? So I'll probably get more than that. Am I scared to do my taxes? No. Nope. I'm a business owner. I know how to do write-offs. I got this down. You just got to get a good CPA that knows what they're doing. All right. It got a little bounce at this low right here. Looks like it might want to come lower. Fit Mom's been doing this for years. No, I haven't. You closed it. Yeah. Oh, doing business. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not afraid of taxes. But I also don't do it myself. I hire someone else who knows what they're doing with taxes. David, I've pulled out 30,000 in payouts from prop firms. So, nothing crazy, but I'm pretty proud of it. And like I said, I feel like I'm finally starting to find my groove with it, become a lot more aware of where my weaknesses are, which are obviously the emotional side of things with trading, the mental psychology trading. So as I'm starting to get more consistent with that, I feel like I'm right there on the cusp of like getting regular, consistent 1 to 2 payouts every single month, like good payouts. So feeling good about it. You know how much you've spent? Yeah. I have the numbers. I've blown a lot of accounts, you guys. That's why I said that I've pulled out 30,000 in payouts from prop firms. I haven't profited that much. I've spent, I'd have to pull up the actual numbers, about $6,500 in prop firm challenges and all that together. I blew a lot of accounts in the beginning, you guys. And I got a little bit cocky and thought I knew what I was doing. So in the beginning, I was getting like the straight to funded accounts, which are the more expensive ones. So I was blowing $300 accounts, not $49 accounts. So it took a while for me to like figure out I need to slow down and not try to become a millionaire in a month. Yeah, that's exactly how I think about it, Luna. It's an investment. Like, for example, top one futures, like if you buy 3 straight to funded accounts, you're going to spend roughly $950 or whatever it is if you get a 50K account. And the max payout you can get is what, like $6,000 or something in your first payout? I'd have to look at it all because I trade a lot of different accounts, but basically, you put $1,000 in, you can get $6,000 out after trading. So you got to think of it like an investment. All right, so it's starting to get back above that value area low. It's still below that New York anchored VWAP though. Kind of pinching between the overnight VWAP and New York VWAP. How do you deal with the psychology part of trading? Good question. There's a lot of components to it, and that's my biggest weakness, so it's not easy for sure. I think you just have to figure out what is your holdup. So, I mean, I'd have to figure out exactly what you're struggling with. But one, I think your pre-market routine matters a lot. Like, are you just kind of rushing into the market and not really preparing yourself and settling yourself and making sure that you're patient and not rushed and not stressed? Because if you bring that into trading, you're going to be a hot mess with trading and you're not going to take good trades. Or at least I don't. I'm speaking for myself. So your pre-market routine is really important. Journaling, I think, is absolutely necessary. If you're not journaling your trades, you're probably not a very profitable trader, because data helps. Like, if you are constantly losing during the Asia session, or you're constantly losing every trade that you take after 11 p.m. or whatever, or you're constantly losing on this strategy that you try to trade, you're not going to know that if you're not journaling it. So having data to be able to look and see, like, oh, I lose more trades if I trade after noon. Then if you have it on paper, you see the data, there's proof, then it'll be a lot easier to say no to trading at that time. That's just an example. Or like, if your win rate during the first 5 minutes of the New York Open is 30%, and you have the data to show that, then it's a lot easier to sit back and be patient at the market open and wait, because you don't want to lose 70% of the time. So I think that helps a lot with the psychology side of things, because you have data to like make you stop doing those silly things. So those are the two things I would say to pay attention to at first, is the pre-market, like getting your mind right, and then journaling so that you have confidence that the trades you're taking are good. If you're afraid of entering a trade, I would say size down. Like, if I'm nervous during a trade, or I feel anxious, or like I move my stop loss too early, or I do something stupid to mess it up, I'm probably sized up too big. I need to be okay with whatever I'm risking. Like, if I'm risking $200 and I feel like I took a great trade, a great setup, and then it just doesn't go my way, which happens, then I need to be okay with losing that amount of money. If you're not, then size down. You need to be okay with losing that amount. And that might help you with being scared to enter. Yeah, that's a big one. Human nature. It's human nature to want to be right. And in trading, we're proven wrong. If you have like a 50% win rate in trading, you're doing pretty good, which means 50% of the time you're wrong, and you have to be okay with that. So it definitely makes you self-analyze pride, or whatever you want to call it, like whatever's going on. A lot of times, if you watch any like psychology of trading videos, they say that trading, like becoming a good trader, you probably are going to become a better person too. Because a lot of the things that make you a bad trader, like revenge or greed or pride or things like that, you have to get rid of those to be a good trader. Luna Raid, what's up, Brick? How's it going? Elias, my win rate, it depends on the month. It ranges between 50 and 55% on average. Sometimes it's slightly lower than 50%, but my risk to reward is usually pretty high. So there's times that I'll enter the same idea 2 or 3 times, but I'll take a tiny little paper cut and then like re-enter, and it actually goes in my direction, and I'll get like a 4-to-1 risk to reward or something like that on it. So my win rate is not super high, but I often hold the trades for longer. Ready to smash this power hour. Man, I don't know if we can call this a power hour. It moved a little bit. We got a little movement down. What do I usually put my stop loss at right after entering a trade? It usually based on market structure. So like today, this is where I entered and I put my stop loss up above this previous high. And then based on what my stop loss is, that's how I size my position. So if it's a bigger stop loss, I'll enter fewer contracts. If it's a tighter stop loss, I'll enter more contracts. And then I manage the position differently depending on the trade, but I'll usually scale out if I'm in a big enough position that I can take off like a few contracts as we reach certain levels. I'll scale out and then trail my stop loss. Your comment about just chilling makes me laugh, Luna. A couple days ago on your stream, I think it was Friday, I don't know, you were saying that Lawrence coached you on when you're in a trade, you just gotta like sit back and relax. And you did that for like 30 seconds, and then you're like, I'm done. I can't just chill. I can't do that. All right. Looks like it's gonna hit my next limit order, limit buy, and then I have my last position coming out right at this session VWAP. Although it looks like it wants to go lower, it's sitting right in the middle of this fair value gap right here. So it might come down more. But I'm not going to be greedy with it. I'll take my profits there. Coach, what's going on? You've been missed. How much is this going to be retracing? We have that big old move up from this morning. I don't think it's going to come all the way down today, but at some point it would make sense to at least come down to like 23, 320-ish. That's a pretty big level. Nice rip off the opening range high. Yeah, this morning was ridiculous. It was just up only. There's the opening candle right there, and it just went straight up. If you were kind of trying to wait for like a pullback, which I normally do on the 15-minute opening range breaks, I try to wait for a little bit of a pullback, maybe to like VWAP or something like that. or not buy on the first breakout, just because a lot of times, for me at least, that's a fake out. But not today. Here's the 1 minute. This is the 1 minute on that 15-minute opening range break. There's a tiny little pullback, one little red candle, and then just straight up. So I missed it. I was driving anyway, driving my kids to a camp that they had. So I wasn't going to be doing it while I was driving, but if I was sitting at my computer, I probably wouldn't have taken it because I would have waited for a pullback too. And it never happened. Well, it's not looking like it wants to go lower. I'm wondering if I should just get out. Let me put that session volume profile back on. It's sitting right at that value area low, and it's really not wanting to break below it. But it is below that New York anchored VWAP. It was kind of a tough day unless you got that long off the gate. I had entered a trade before this one in my other account, so I was up already. That trade I took off of this area. I erased it already because I added it to my journal, but it was a bounce off of this New York anchored VWAP. I got long off of that. So if you look at the 5 minute, it came below the New York anchor VWAP, and then there was a bullish engulfing 5 minute candle where it reclaimed it, and that's where I got long. And I had my target up at 425, which was the initial balance high. And there were quite a few bookmap orders up at like 430, 435. So it made me think that we were going higher. And it never really got all the way up to initial balance high. Like you can see, it was just ticks below. So it actually hit my trailing stop loss. I got out somewhere at like 406 on that pullback right there. Right about when I entered short, actually. I'm going to move this down because I have my full TP right at like 353 if we end up getting down there. It does look like it's rejecting this New York anchored VWAP. We just got to get below this value area low. That's kind of holding us up right now. ES had a better short today. I don't normally look at ES unless someone in the chat says something about it. Yeah, it rejected that high 3 times. It got really heavy on this last one. NQ and ES were actually very similar today. I feel like there have been several days over the last couple of weeks where looking at ES has just confused me because they were not the same at all. It's good to see a couple new faces in the chat. I gotta do afternoon streams more often, I guess. I get to meet new people. If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I normally trade market open right around 9:15 Eastern is when I log on and kind of go through my thoughts for the day, share my levels that I have marked up, share different like A and B scenarios, if then scenarios. I'll trade for a couple of hours live, and then as I'm logging off, I usually try to give different scenarios like if it hits this level you can take a long, or if it hits this level you can take a short. And a lot of times, like Friday, the trade setup that I gave as we were logging off happened exactly to a T. Like there were several people that messaged me afterwards like, hey, I took that trade that you called. So that was pretty cool. Doesn't always happen that way, but I try to give my thoughts, and I'm a coach at heart. That's my background. Fitness coaching, nutrition coaching. I've coached people for like 15 years. Basketball coach. Now I'm a soccer mom coach. So it's kind of just come naturally to me to like want to help people. And I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not claiming to be a guru at all. But if I'm a couple steps ahead of someone and I can share where I've been and what's helped me, I'm happy to do it. Flush NQ to 23,222. Oh my gosh. I don't know about that. All the way down to like overnight low. Or not even overnight low. That was like pre-market low. 30 minutes before the New York Open. Yeah. I don't know about that. Maybe if Trump comes on and tweets something, perhaps. I'm losing my patience sitting in this trade. I kind of want to get out of it just because I'm annoyed that it's not moving anywhere. All right, where should I trail it to? Let me put my volume profile back on. Point of control, still sitting right at that high volume node, 393. Really, I don't even want to let it come back up above that New York anchored VWAP. So I'm going to trail it down even more to 386. Bring it on down. You know you wanna. "10 minutes to MOC." Yeah, that's why I'm kind of tightening things up. I don't want to get caught in some random end of day closure. And I'd be okay with either on this if it hits my stop or hits my profit. Google has some strength. This morning was weird. Like looking at having the market just pump to all-time highs within a couple of minutes of the market open, but comparing that to the individual stocks in bag 7, it didn't make sense. Like they weren't all skyrocketing. Kind of made you wonder where it was coming from. And there was no news today. Like it was very unexpected in my opinion. And gold pumped. Yeah, that's weird too. Because I know they're not exactly inversely correlated, but a lot of times they are. So yeah, that's very weird that they both went up this morning. Strange day. It's cool though, like everything's going up. If you guys follow crypto, I mean, Bitcoin's been playing around with all-time highs for the last couple weeks. Ethereum's been pumping. It could be hitting all-time highs sometime soon if it keeps this up. It got a little move down, and now it's bouncing. Come on. It's right there, right there. You know you wanna. Oh, you know you want to grab it. All right, I know what the problem is. You guys haven't liked the stream enough. We need more likes. That's going to help me hit my profit target. Go hit that like button so I can hit my profit target. Come on. We have 45 orders sitting at 350. I'm at 352, just above. You know you want to do it. Can I explain my strategy and what assets am I trading? I mostly trade NQ. I've taken like 1 or 2 ES trades and a couple of gold trades, but NQ is the one that I watch on a regular basis. And 99.9% of my trades are on NQ, or MNQ specifically. NQ's too rich for my blood. And my strategy, I do have like full videos on my YouTube channel with breakdowns of all my strategies, but basically I trade the 15 minute opening range. I take trades off of that. It could be a fake out or it could be a breakout and trend continuation. And then I also trade the 60-minute initial balance, which is very similar to the 15-minute opening range, just a wider time frame. And then I use session volume profile in general. So I use visible range volume profile for finding higher time frame support and resistance. That's over here. So the high volume nodes I mark off as support and resistance. And then I use session volume profile. So marking off like point of control, value area high, value area low. So I kind of stack all those as confluence. All right. Ended up being a good trade. Hit my profit target. I had 2 different sets of accounts. One of them hit my daily profit target where it locked me out, so that was cool. And then I had this set over here that I was copy trading. So close to $1,000 in each of my 3 accounts. Not too shabby. That's, for me, I'm saying this out loud because I'm talking to myself, and hopefully I can help one of you guys in the process. But today was a really busy day with running kids around, and I totally missed the entire first hour of the market open. So I had some major FOMO coming into my computer and like looking at the charts. But I was still able to be patient, find a good setup, find a good trade, and made $1,000 off of across 3 accounts. So $3,000. So that's a good reminder that there's always another opportunity. There's always another trade. How many contracts did I use in that trade? In one account, I was in 5 contracts was my position because I had already been up like $600, so I didn't need to make that much more. On the other one, I was in 10 contracts total, but I scaled in. So I'll zoom into the 1-minute chart. I took a small position. I took 5 contracts at like towards the initial balance high, but I didn't want to go too big because it could have broken out of the initial balance high and been a trend continuation, because on an all-time high day, you don't really want to try to short all-time high. So I took a small position, and then once we had confirmation that we were breaking down below this value area high and we weren't able to get back above the initial balance high, I was pretty convinced that we were going lower. So I added to my position. So 10 contracts total. Have I ever tried using OBV? I think that could fit quite good with your strategy. No, I haven't. Brick is giving us the countdown to MOC. I love it. We need to get some trade timers turned on for it. So that was a good trade. Those were the 2 trades I took. So I erased the other one because I already added it to my journal, but I'll share with you guys the other trade that I took today. So 2 trades, $3,000 total across my 3 accounts. This was the first trade that I took right here. So the reasoning for this trade was it came down below the New York anchored VWAP, which made it seem like we were going lower, but we bought right back up and we reclaimed VWAP, and there was a strong 5-minute candle. And just the fact that we were up only all morning, I was hoping for a long setup. So that was where I entered long. I was targeting the initial balance high. We didn't quite get there. Like you can see, it barely missed it. It was quite annoying. So I ended up getting stopped out on my trailing stop loss on this pullback. Right about there is where I got stopped out. Oops. So that was my first trade. And then you guys saw my second trade where I shorted the initial balance high. Do you use TradeZella for journaling? I have in the past. So I used TradeZella for a couple months. I really like it. I'm a big fan of data and statistics. Like I ran a business for 15 years, so I tracked everything, like sales percentages and KPIs and like ad spend and all that stuff. So I'm a big fan of data, which is why I liked TradeZilla. But I got away from it and have just been tracking it in a Google spreadsheet and kind of created my own way of like calculating my strategy and my win rate and all that stuff. So I don't have to go through the work of like uploading all of my stuff to TradeZilla. I just mark it in here. So what I'll do, if you guys are curious about how I journal, I keep my risk to reward tools. So like my trade setups are here. And then I use this call out button. And then I'll make a note like reclaimed New York VWAP or whatever. So I write like a full couple of phrases explaining why I took this trade, and then I'll make a note, just like I was telling you guys, that I was targeting initial balance high but got stopped out on my trailing stop loss. I put all of that in these little call outs, and then I come up here to this, take a snapshot and copy the link, and I post that in my spreadsheet so I can always go back and look at this screenshot. And then I'll also take note of what my strategy was. Like, was it an initial balance trade or a VWAP trade or a 15-minute orb trade or whatever? That's how I do it. How much money do you keep in your accounts as a baseline to trade with? So I trade with prop firms, and it depends on the prop firm. So like I have Top Step, for example, and they let you withdraw up to 50% of your profits. So obviously I'm keeping 50% in there. With Top One Futures, for example, like on these accounts that I'm trading with you guys today, I can take a max payout of $3,500 per account. So I like to leave myself with at least $2,000 in drawdown. So I won't take a payout until I have at least $5,500 of a balance. So that when I take $3,500 out, I still have $2,000 left in drawdown. So that's like the minimum that I want to leave in there is $2,000. But I'm also a big fan of take payouts. Probably because, to be totally honest with you guys, I have blown multiple accounts right before being qualified for a payout, like the day before. Like maybe I've traded to the balance that I need, I just haven't hit the consistency rule. Or I have hit the consistency, I just need to trade like 2 more days because it's a 10-day trading rule or whatever. Like there have been 2 times like that where I have been a day away from requesting a payout, and then just, stupid like mental tilt, wasn't able to control my emotions and blew the account. So I'm still in that phase where I'm trying to find the happy medium between leaving myself a buffer so that I can still live to trade another day after I take a payout, but also take that stinking payout, right? Before I mess it up. All right, you guys. That was a nice little move at the close of the day. I was wondering for a while. I logged on here through this chop, and I sat with you guys for like 30 minutes, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be worth it. It's not gonna move anywhere. But it finally started to move, and we got a good trade out of it. So like I said, I saw quite a few new names in the chat. I don't normally stream in the afternoon, which is probably why I got to see some new people. I love it. If you haven't already, go hit that subscribe button so you can see when I'm live in the future. Tomorrow I'll be live at the New York Open right around 9:15 Eastern time. I'll do a little pre-market, like mark up my levels and my trades and share with you what I feel like might happen for the session. I usually give some if-then scenarios, like if it hits this level, we can go here. If it hits this level, we can watch for that reaction. And then Wednesday, I have another crazy day with dropping off my kids at camp. So I'll be doing an afternoon session on Wednesday again. Hopefully we get some good price action like this on Wednesday afternoon during power hour. So I'd love to see some of you guys back. Yeah, hit that like button. I appreciate that. We got a little over 30 of you guys here and only 18 likes. I'm kind of a newbie in this journey of documenting my journey on YouTube. My goal is just to share my journey, you guys, and be totally transparent with you. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I'm a newbie trader. I started in September of 2024. I've taken some great payouts, but I've also blown accounts too. So I'm totally transparent in my journey with you guys. I want to share it all, the ups and the downs. And hopefully, over time, turn into this amazingly consistent, profitable trader, and you guys can watch me along the way. That's the goal. Absolutely, Sam. Happy to help. I love answering questions. So if you guys ever have questions about like why I took the trade, what my strategy was, what the confluences are, what I'm looking for, any of that stuff, I love helping out. Getting quite a dump as the market's closing. Man. Now we're holding below VWAP. I like to wait for a 15-minute candle closure below VWAP to like confirm that we're getting some continuation to the downside. We only have a minute 20 left on this candle closure. So unless we get a big old bounce right here, looks like it's continuing down. It's funny, just a couple minutes ago, I was saying that, like, zooming out to the higher time frames, I feel like we could come at least down to previous day high, because there's quite a bit of support around like 23,300-ish. But really, we have that higher time frame fair value gap all the way down to like 23,250. We have a higher time frame high volume node right here at like 23,300. So that might be a good spot, just looking for tomorrow's session. If it holds above 23,300, it could stay bullish. If not, I wonder if we're getting some downside. You suggested holding the shorts. That was a fake move up. Yeah, it was a weird move up. Like we were talking about earlier, like the Mag 7 didn't show really big moves like that. There was no news, no random tweets from Trump. Like, what was that today? That was weird. So yeah, now we're just retracing that whole thing. One thing I'm trying to get better at, though, Brick, is not being greedy and taking my profits. Because, like, looking back through my trade journals, I have way too many trades that hit my trailing stop loss because I'm trying to go for too big of a move and I didn't take profits. So I have really big unrealized profits where, like, I could have made $800 and I ended up making $150. And it really pisses me off. So I'm trying to get better at just setting my orders and being okay with the part of the market that I can grab and not catching the whole move. Can't go broke by taking profits. Yep. Yeah, tomorrow morning we have Powell, you guys. It might be choppy or it might be super volatile. You never know. All right, market's officially closed, you guys. I'm going to hop off. I appreciate y'all joining me. Like I said, it was good to meet some new faces. Hopefully I'll see you guys join me again soon. On your way out, if you haven't already, hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. And then subscribe so you can see when I'm live again. Have a good afternoon. Bye, guys.